Not every car that changes history is a success. Some go down in history for the wrong reasons, and they end up forcing the whole industry to change. In the 60s, Chevrolet wanted to innovate. The American automaker decided to launch a car that was completely different from what the market was used to. The Corvair was a bold project bringing technology inspired by European sports cars. It looked perfect on paper, but in reality, it hit a fatal flaw. This flaw was so serious that it not only destroyed the model's reputation, but also made Chevrolet the target of one of the biggest scandals in the automotive industry. And worse, the problem didn't just affect Chevrolet. It was so impactful that it helped create the first car safety laws in the United States. Today, we're telling the story of the Chevrolet Corvair, the car that became one of the most controversial of all time and forced the entire industry to change. What made the Corvair special? In the 50s, American cars were big, heavy, and thirsty for fuel. But on the other side of the ocean, Europeans were taking a different approach: compact, lightweight, and efficient cars. Volkswagen, for example, was winning the market with the Beetle, a rear-engine, air-cooled car that was cheap and reliable. Chevrolet noticed this trend and decided to strike back. The result was the Chevrolet Corvair, launched in 1959 as a 1960 model. It looked like nothing GM had ever made before. Instead of the traditional front-mounted V8, the Corvair had a rear-mounted, air-cooled six-cylinder engine inspired by German engineering from Porsche and Volkswagen. Another big highlight was its independent rear suspension, something rare in the US at the time. The goal was to improve handling and make the car more dynamic. On top of that, its design was modern and sleek, with clean lines and a futuristic touch. On paper, the Corvair seemed like the perfect answer to take on European cars and bring innovation to the American market. But there was a problem, and it would soon become a nightmare for Chevrolet. The problem was in the rear suspension. To cut costs, Chevrolet removed the sway bar, a crucial component for keeping the car stable. Without it, the Corvair had unpredictable handling in turns. The situation got even worse because of the rear engine setup. With most of the weight in the back, the car had a tendency to lose control suddenly. This caused extreme oversteer, where the rear of the car would slide unexpectedly, making it incredibly dangerous to drive, especially for inexperienced drivers. Another factor that made the problem worse was tire pressure. The manual recommended higher pressure in the rear tires than in the front, but this information wasn't widely shared, and many drivers inflated their tires incorrectly, making the Corvair even more unstable. The result? Accidents started happening frequently. Many drivers lost control in turns and ended up rolling over. Chevrolet tried to downplay the situation, but the problem was already gaining attention. Then, one man decided to expose the issue to the entire world. And what he did would change the automotive industry forever. In 1965, a young lawyer named Ralph Nader released a book that would become one of the most controversial in automotive history. The title? Unsafe at Any Speed. The first chapter of the book was entirely dedicated to the Chevrolet Corvair. Nader accused Chevrolet of putting profits over consumer safety and exposed the car's issues in detail. He revealed how removing the sway bar had made the Corvair dangerous and how Chevrolet intentionally ignored these risks to cut costs. The book caused a national scandal. For the first time, car safety became a major topic of discussion across the country. But the story didn't end there. Trying to defend itself, Chevrolet hired private investigators to follow Ralph Nader, hoping to discredit him and undermine his claims. When this information came to light, things got even worse for GM. The case reached the U.S. Senate, where Chevrolet executives were forced to apologize publicly. The Corvair became known as the most dangerous car in America, and the brand's reputation took a serious hit. But the impact of this scandal went far beyond the Corvair. It forever changed the way cars were designed. With the scandal growing out of control, Chevrolet realized it had to act. In 1965, the company released the second-generation Corvair, this time fixing the suspension issues. Now, the car was much safer, with improved handling and an even more refined design. Many experts even consider this second generation one of the best handling cars Chevrolet ever made. But it was too late. The damage to the Corvair's reputation was irreversible. The public no longer trusted the model and sales plummeted. Chevrolet tried to keep the car on the market for a few more years, but in 1969, production was officially shut down. The Corvair was gone for good, and Chevrolet never again dared to build a rear-engine car. The Chevrolet Corvair may have been a disaster for General Motors, but its story played a crucial role in making modern cars safer. The scandal caused by unsafe at any speed sparked so much controversy that in 1966, the U.S. government created the NHTSA, or National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the agency responsible for regulating and enforcing car safety standards. From that moment on, automakers were required to include safety features in cars, such as 3-point seat belts, collapsible steering columns, laminated glass, and crash tests. Before the Corvair, driver and passenger safety simply wasn't a priority for car manufacturers. But after that, everything changed. Today, airbags, electronic stability control, and rigorous safety testing are standard in the industry. And it all started with a car that went wrong. The Chevrolet Corvair may have been a commercial failure, but in the end, it was the mistake that saved lives. The Chevrolet Corvair wasn't just a poorly designed car, it was a turning point in the automotive industry. If cars are much safer today, it's because models like the Corvair showed what happens when safety isn't taken seriously. The scandal surrounding the car exposed the industry's negligence and forced changes that saved thousands of lives. What started as an engineering mistake ended up being the catalyst for the first automotive safety laws and the creation of the NHTSA. And did you already know this story? What do you think about the Chevrolet Corvair? Leave your comment below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next content. See you in the next video.